Hello, Rebel GMan 10F, and welcome to week 3 of your recaps. It is me, Full Metal, again. Hello, how are you doing? You can probably tell it's me, actually, because it's on my YouTube channel, which kind of gives it away a little bit, I found. And I'm joined, once again, by an angry Scottish bloke called McNaughton.
Hello, Division 10F. Nice to be here again, Metal.
Yeah. You are just the angry Scottish bloke at this point. We're leaving it at that. Now, there's an unplayed game at the moment, so unfortunately I can't tell you the status on this game. I'm super sorry, guys. I'll be picking that up after we get all done here, recorded and published, and I'll do the admin rundown on that, because I actually am an admin here too. But we're going to jump straight into looking at the matches for the week, and it does look like initially the Rebel Vikings, we said this was going to be a good one, right? And the Fairy Harem took them 2-0.
It does look a bit tasty, that game. I remember you saying, Metal, this game could have swung either way with the aggressive play style of Hargrim.
Yes, and also the very, I think that's quite telling, is he failed 68% of his dodges. And that's gonna do it to you as an elf, innit?
just a bit. Those dodge fails are the death of elf teams, and it does appear that probably had a big factor in the result there as well.
He only rolled 22 and failed 7 of them. That's pretty rough. I mean, comparatively, the Fairy Harem, 77% dodge chance. They rolled a lot. They rolled just on the whole a lot less dice, which is probably going to do it for you as well. That's a horrific amount of wild animal fails, though. That's a lot.
Roguers proving how good they are yet again.
I do tell people they're not very good, but despite that, the Fairy Harem took a 2-0. Well done there. I wish I'd caught the game, unfortunately didn't get to. To follow that up, the Contract Killers took on Angry Altmer and came out 2-1.
Yep, I would like to say Bernie Team Killer Buffon did live up to his name and sadly killed a High Elf Blitzer.
Ooh.
They also got MVP.
Ooh.
So Bernie, keep it up. I'm tipping you as my team killer, mate.
Remember when that was like a joke and then it stuck?
And now it's true, and the rest of the division are hating me for it.
We've got to feel bad for Martin Sefton, who is also now down to 8 players.
Yes.
But at least he's played the team killer, so that bit's done.
At least he only got 1 death. The rest of the division, 2, 3 easily.
Is that how it is now?
It's Bernie Team Killer Buffon. That's the name. It's sticking that way. I want T-shirts. I want banners. I want to never play them.
Okay, fair enough. These are apparently actually he's embracing it as well. Have you seen his team motto? Apparently, if you're on the hit list, you're as good as dead. So he's going for it. And he's actually finally got some mighty blow as well, so he can actually do even better.
Exactly.
He's going in on that meme. I like it a lot.
Indeed.
Now, the other one was, we said this one could be a bit of a, either elves are going to do elf things or orcs are going to do orc things. And it kind of seems like they both did a little bit of each and came out 1-1 between the Bar Stewards and the Rarimbo Orcs.
Yeah, this game was one of those ones beforehand where we kind of did say that the elves could either do some magic nonsense or the orcs could bash up a whole load of elves. Looking at the stats, 1 armor break for the elves and 2 armor breaks for the orcs does kind of say a lot, considering the orcs threw 46 blocks and the elves threw 26. So
wow, I mean,
armor 12 for everyone there.
That's 46 blocks. To be fair, the 2 armor breaks resulted in a KO and a Kaz, so that's okay. I mean, 2 removals on the breaks, but you've got to feel gypped if you're a Rimbo that you managed to do 2 breaks. I mean, I would be furious at that point.
With Mighty Blow as well, I'm presuming, seeing as how he does have a Mighty Blow Blitzer.
But he did grab MVP on a Black Orc, so that's a nice consolation prize. Another one we thought was going to be interesting and hard to predict was the Tabar Tellers versus the Oni Foals and Hobgoblins, which, in the fashion of hard to predict games, kind of went to a 1-1. Okay.
It's almost like we kind of know what we're talking about some of the time.
Some of the time, maybe, kind of. Now, however, the big story here this week, I would say, is that Noru, or however you pronounce it, proved that we clearly don't know what we're talking about when From the Stars, with their 1 werewolf, which we still don't like, beat the Rat Rebel 2-1. Now, the kind of reason they beat him is all in the arm breaks, and it's the conversion.
I'm just going to say, I called Noru to win that game last week, so I am taking full bragging rights there. Noru doing the job. I knew it all along. Metal, you didn't know it.
We did. I said this could go this way because we've said before, Crystal Hunter's biggest strength is also his biggest weakness. Is he's incredibly aggressive. If that goes wrong, you end up in a world where you're rats that gave up 59 blocks, which resulted in 13 breaks, which was 5 KOs and 3 injuries, and that's quite a lot. So it was. Yeah. I mean, this is just the way Crystal Hunter works. He's big players McGee, and when it works, it's glorious, and when it doesn't, your rats explode in a cloud of fur and blood, and it works considerably less well.
Definitely, and I'm looking at Crystal Hunter's team at the moment, and again, not really picking up that much SPP in development, something which I'm sure he'll be looking to kind of kick on from. It is quite a rookie-looking Skaven team, despite the results he's been pulling up, but no permanent damage on it from the loss, which I'm sure he'll be glad about.
In return, the From the Stars did grab one of those glorious beasts, which is a Flesh Golem MVP into level, which... I mean, that's just lovely, isn't it? When that happens, that's one of those ones that you just like, yep, I'll take it to the back.
Definitely, they are gold dust on the Necro teams. Those.
Oh, hang on! Look what's happened, everybody. It's we don't have to hate the team anymore because it's got a second werewolf.
Oh, there we go. Yes, Metal. I know how much that'll make you happier now. Ideally, the dream is for Noru that werewolf does get an early. Level up and rolls the beautiful doubles into Mighty Blow.
Well, I feel like we're in a world where you try and feed Thing from the Stars to 16 SPP, and then you just, if you get Mighty Blow, you're just loving life, because the Shrieker instantly becomes your ball carrier, and then Thing from the Stars becomes your full-time blitzer, right? If it doesn't and just gets a normal, you probably try and feed the Shrieker to 6 SPP, and then recycle Thing from the Stars, would be my call, if it's 2 normals.
You could possibly go block tackle and then into Mighty Blow.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't hate block tackle and then fishing for a third skill, but 31 SPP is also a long time. It's an interesting. Yeah. It's a dilemma when you play Necro, to be honest.
But ideally, one of them rolls Mighty Blow next level, and it's all golden.
Yes, all gold dust. I still don't like that the Harpy got blocked, but whatever. I mean, it's working for him from the Stars. We'll look at the leaderboard real quick. They're kind of winning. 2-1-0. The Contract Killers from the Stars. Do you see what's going on here? Contract Killers from the Stars and Furry Harem all on 2-1-0. All coaches. In fact, Crystal Hunter's just behind them at 2-0-1. Only 4 coaches in the div with 2 wins right now, and they were kind of the ones we said to watch. So I feel I'm quite intelligent right now.
They were indeed the ones to watch, although, as we do know, that can quickly change. There's 2 teams on 1-1-1. That 1 win will definitely push them up if one of the top guys lose. And even somebody like JP Casey, who is 0-2 at the moment, they themselves are just a win or 2 wins away from shooting back up the leaderboard as well. So,
I mean, yeah, we're still very, very early in the season, so there's a lot of distance still to cover. Anyone can still do anything, and no one's lost all of their games yet, which is kind of important for the early start. No one's won all the games, no one's lost all the games. Keeps the division pretty close together, top to bottom.
Yeah.
We are going to jump into our new segment. We're going to do a double this time, and then we'll settle down into 1 per week afterwards. Maybe a double next time to keep up the pace. We're going to do what's called the Getting to Know You Guys segment. So we have issued some questionnaires out. If you haven't filled them out, please check your PMs. You've probably got one in there. If you can't find it, hit me up or hit McNugget up on Discord, and we'll send you another one. But it's basically just so you can learn a little bit about the coaches behind the teams in your division. And we're going to start with a lovely chap. I'm sure you're all lovely, to be fair, right? But
well, we don't know them yet, Metal. We don't know. I hear that Bernie's a bit of a bad man.
I chatted to this fella quite a bit. And he also went to the entire thing of renaming his entire team, apart from one catcher that he forgot to rename.
Oh yes, that's because we said to Rugbat at the start that generated names, but we're not going to help him on these recaps.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then he forgot to rename one character. But yeah, I actually chatted to Rugbart quite a bit on Discord after he finished off the submission. I'm sure everyone's lovely, like I say, but I know this guy's lovely because I talked to him for a while. So there's that. And he's been playing out since 3rd edition on tabletop, so like kind of on and off, as everyone kind of does. I think tabletop when you're younger is one of those things that people tend to pick up and put down. It's not something that people were consistent. Not a lot of people were consistent with. There'll be a few, but
yeah, I definitely think it's
sporadic.
Definitely on tabletop as well. It did go through quite a lull for a few years before kind of generating more of a following, possibly with the PC game and all that coming out.
It was definitely, the hardcore guys that kept the NAF running, wasn't it? It wasn't the it wasn't the average. So anyone who did that, shout out to them.
Yeah. And having a look at what else, some of his favourite teams to play. He says it is a tough. They say it is a tough one. So probably the Dark Elves due to their balance of power and agility, but we will normally find them playing dwarves and trying to pass his way around you. So it does seem he likes that passing style.
Well, no, he mentioned he loves Frenzy as well, which is interesting because he's gone High Elves, which naturally have 0 Frenzy. So maybe that's a hint that one of these blitzers is going to pick up an early Frenzy, which I wouldn't hate because Movement 7's pretty damn awesome for Frenzying, and they already come with blocks. That's quite nice.
Definitely.
So watch out for that.
They have had some experience on console as well. So they played in the Fable over on the Xbox, and he did say he was a mid-table sort of coach there, but I'm sure now that he's came over to the master console of PC, he will be showing his skills off to ourselves.
Well, it's worth you know. I think FABBL makes me laugh a little bit because they're essentially the console version of us. They are the single biggest Xbox league. I actually know the guy who runs it, a guy called Wraithlord.
Wraithlord, who is in fact a rebel coach as well, and clan leader of Fable.
We dragged him into clan to represent FABBL in our clan competition, and so yeah, I actually kind of know Wraithlord quite well now. So it is interesting that obviously he cut his teeth on the Xbox version of us, and then went, nah, I want the OG version. I want to go with that.
The OGs. Now, they do also say that they want to move across the PC for a league that was primarily in their time zone. So, also one of the big factors of Rebel is we have the GMan, which are all in obviously here in our European time zones, but we do also have our Oceanic and American time zones as well. So, it was nice to see a coach kind of realising that as an option on leagues that they can play in.
It's one of my favourite things about... He actually picked up on 2 of my favourite things about Rebel, which is that you get to play in time zone games, and also he loves the content that's getting made. So thank you. I hope you're loving this as much as you're loving the other content you saw on the Reddit. Reddit hopefully being very, very good for hosting content, of course.
It is very good for that, but hopefully he loves it enough that he starts saying he likes my content here, not just yours, Mel.
I love how everyone just gives me all the credit. Every week, they're like, thanks, Metal, and no one says anything to you. And it's just like, wow.
It's probably because you keep saying McNugget, and they're like, I don't see a McNugget on the server.
I see a McNugget. Type it, and then they're like, nah. Yeah, it's MMC Norton.
4.
Right? Everyone just tag him, not me, for the week and see watch him explode. Just that'd be hilarious. Right. He's also he's given us a random fact in his random fact section. However, I'm gonna pick up on a separate random fact as well because I did chat to him for a bit. So first of all, the one he gave us here was that when he was younger, I don't know how old he is, but I know he's a parent, if that counts. Because we'll get on that in a minute. When he was younger, and still had the reflexes. He finished 4th in a UK ranked tournament for Soul Calibur 3, which is quite awesome.
Very impressive.
Anyone who knows me knows I absolutely love just esports across the board, and I'm actually a huge follower of the Street Fighter scene, specifically when it comes to fighters. So whilst I'm less aware of Soul Calibur, instantly massive respect for doing well in a. The UK's got quite a competitive fighting scene as well, but it's mostly based around London, unfortunately. But certainly for Street Fighter, there's a ton of good UK players. So I'm assuming the Soul Calibur one was as competitive, and that's just awesome. The other cool thing about Rugbart that he mentioned was he actually him and his wife run a festival every summer with about 1,000 people every year, called the Chilled in a Field Festival. So basically, it's a family focused festival, and they have like activities for kids and stuff. It's down in Kent.
Sounds
And
excellent.
so all day it's like stuff for the kids and the family, you know. So the adults get like a beer, like there's beer stands and cider and stuff like that, all of that kind of stuff. And then in the evening when the kids are in bed, there's a silent disco in the woods. So everyone gets like headphones. You don't know if you know how silent discos work, but it's like everyone's on headphones and stuff, and they're all raving up in the like to 90s rave in the woods.
That sounds amazing. I feel that I should just probably have children so I could go to this.
I've totally said like in a couple.
Mel,
of years,
can I borrow one of your kids?
I've got enough to go around.
Exactly.
But I've totally said in a couple of years when the kids are a little older, we will totally try and make the trek down and attend, because I'm not into the rave so much, but you know, any chance to get the kids out and having a laugh and activities, you know, that kind of environment just sounds fantastic.
You could go in like Rebel T-shirts, just bring everybody.
So we recognise each other. I'll have to get some. I'll have to get some kid-sized Rebel shirts. Anyway, we're going to move on to another coach that we know as well. It is you've mentioned him a couple of times already. I think you've got a bit of a soft spot for this guy.
Do you know what? I don't know if it's because I actually like him or his name just works perfectly for it, but it is Bernie Teen Killer Buffon. No, I do you know what? I've not had an awful lot of interaction with Bernie, but I've watched a lot of his streams, and I've seen him around the, you know, the usual haunts like the CCL Discords and other Discords and that, and he just comes across as a genuinely really nice guy that really enjoys the game.
Well,
So
I mean, the part of why he enjoys the game. I mean, the guy, according to the details, has been playing for 20 years at this point, and at one point worked for Games Workshop. That's pretty cool.
Well, he can't be perfect, clearly. Shots fired.
Well, no. To be fair, I didn't say he worked for their pricing department
Or their team Blood Bowl team building department.
Well, I fully believe that the guys who set the prices for Games Workshop, their offices are built on like a river of crack.
With Bernie sitting on the top of it. It's like, I am Team Killer!
Which is murdering everyone to get out of line. Anyway, that was completely off topic. Yeah. But, he says he loves dwarves. What it is, we've done featured two coaches from this division, and they both love dwarves. We've made a mistake.
Well, to be fair, at least we can get them out the way first and focus on all the good coaches that we enjoy for not playing dwarves or liking them.
push them out the way, just get them gone. Yeah. Right. He also says he mostly plays Champions Ladder and actually won Season 15 of the Champs Cup. He almost had it in Season 1, but apparently was robbed on turn 25, which sounds like essentially kicks, right?
Yeah, or Bernie was so old that he doesn't remember that it's only 24 turns in a game.
Or there was a riot that gave him an extra... No, you can't have a riot in overtime, because that would only take away a turn, because it's a turn 1 riot. No, I don't know. I'm assuming that means kicks, or it means turn 23 or turn 24 and is mistyped. But I like
too busy killing teams.
Remember how in the 10A recap that everyone was like, "Oh, I know McNugget." Right? What made him choose Rebel? It's a nice community. Everyone seems really nice, and it looks awesome. And apparently, the boss is a top bloke. So,
that's nice that Haringzord is getting some rep there from Bernie for being the boss.
Don't know, they're new. Don't tell him that Haringzord's the hardest working man in Rebel.
Haringzord is the hardest working man in Rebel.
Not anymore. He's kind of a bit AWOL recently. I'm just saying.
Or maybe he thinks that's me. I can't understand why people would think I'm the top bloke. I get about the streams enough for Rebel.
Apparently, right, I love this. A random interesting fact. We've talked about parenthood already with Rugbart, but he's an undefeated 3 times dad race champion, and he makes sure the kids never get to forget it, which is fantastic. And apparently, the Bernie curse is legendary and feared across the console lands. Apparently, as soon as he tips your team for glory, because he does a lot of streaming, he streams a ton of like CCL playoffs and stuff like that. And apparently, as soon as he says that you're going to win something, you crash and burn. So, oops.
So very much like Metal on the Rebel podcast, that once he tips you, your team plummets to death.
Yeah,
maybe the fact that Bernie is like the console version of you is why I kind of like him so much.
It's possible. It's certainly possible. Anyway, that is that segment done. We're going to look over the actual games coming up. We can't roll around just yet, but I'm sure that'll happen shortly after, as soon as we figure out what's going on with this final game. But coming up, okay.
I'll let you do this one, Metal.
Bernie
do it
gets
right.
to mighty blow a bunch of rats.
No.
Bernie,
Do it right.
team killer Buffon,
Yes.
gets his shot to apply that new mighty blow he's just picked up to a bunch of rats, and I worry for this because this is actually a super important. If you check the leaderboard, super important game. It's joint first position playing joint first position. So really,
Exactly.
probably the only winner is Noru because he's not playing this game.
Yes. Definitely Nora will be sitting there thinking, just draw and murder each other, and he'll be a very happy coach.
Every death for either side gets cheered in that one, I think.
True. But now, the rats do have more mighty blow based on the fact that they do have a rat ogre.
Yeah, but they've also got a rat ogre. So
they've also got a rat ogre. Keith's been around Rebel long enough to know Metal and the general dislike towards rat ogres are a bit of a running joke.
Well, interesting fact, I actually beat Keith in Clan League one season because of his rat ogre.
I'm sure you loved being able to remind him of that. There.
He blitzed my war dancer that was about to sack the ball. That was in a position to sack the ball before the ball was safe, and failed GFI to get to me. Re-rolled it and rolled a skull both down. And got knocked to the floor by the war dancer, who then sacked the ball, ran off and scored.
So not the greatest experience. But Metal, how do you see this game going?
It's going to go one or two ways. Either the rats are going to explode and Bernie is going to live up to his new nickname, or Keith is going to continue the rat supremacy run and just abuse their natural speed and agility. But I'm kind of leaning, I've got to be honest, I'm kind of leaning on the side of the team exploding, because it's just kind of what Choff's doing it.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there. It could be simply the fact that the rats do rat nonsense and pick up a win at a cost, i.e. their players. AV7 could be fake and be AV12, or yes, the Chors could just go bang bang bang.
If they're removing
out.
a player, yeah, if your name's on the hit list that day and they're removing a player every turn, it's going to be bad news bears for the rats, right?
It would be. Now, unlike some other Skaven teams that we have looked at, Keith does have a bit more disposable line meat. So he is running 6 linemen.
That's
so
quite
he does
nice.
have a bit more protection. Some other rats we've looked at have only got the 5 or the 4.
Yeah, no, but once they start going, right?
Yeah.
I think Crystal Hunter is another one who'll be quite happy with this matchup because he's hovering in just that little 4th spot, just a touch behind because he's got a loss instead of a draw. So I think Crystal Hunter and Noru are going to be the real winners regardless of what happens in this match. Depending on who they're playing, we'll get to them in a second. Now, Rainbow Orcs is taking on Rebel Vikings. Rebel Vikings going to be eager to make a comeback after that loss this game. And I kind of feel like they've got the team to do it.
They are definitely kind of stepping on the gas now. The thrower himself, picking up a cheeky strong arm there.
There's one problem with his team, right? Poor Ragnar.
Dancer. Yeah.
I don't. I feel like he's got to keep it for now
until he has the cash to replace it.
Because he hasn't got the cash to replace it. But I mean, we could end up in a world where, like My Stairs famously has an AV6 war dancer who won the Super Bowl, right?
That is true.
So it could go that way, the elements of style, as it were.
It could also be the fact that until Hargrim comes up against a lot of tackle, that not very much is going to be able to hit Ragnar.
But if it does, it's going to hurt. I mean, Beyond
Yeah.
Ironside just gets fired at this point because an AV6 lineman is dead. You'd rather have a loner.
You probably would, yeah. In regards to the team that they faced in the Royal Rainbow Orcs, like we were looking at before, they picked up the Mighty Blow on the Blitzer, so hopefully that's going to remove some of the line elves and possibly go for the throw. But
the key thing that I mentioned there is there's no throw. The throw actually died.
the throw took minus agility, if I remember correctly, and then just got fired because that was a smart move.
Okay, sorry, minus agility is still dead.
I mean, Rorarimbo does have 100k in the bank, so it could be that he might look to reinvest in thrower for that game.
I feel like
He's-
if you know your
strip
opponent
ball.
is running strip ball, you've got to have you've got to have a thrower.
Yeah, and I, unbeknown to a lot of people, or against a lot of people's general views, is I'm quite a fan of the thrower on the odds until they get that blanket block guard, and even then, I don't hate the thrower. It does free up your blitzers, and I just think your blitzers are so good
Stop and
that
look
you
at the
don't want to waste
maths.
one.
Simply enough, is that the Rarimbo? If you don't have a thrower and that war dancer jumps into your cage, I mean, you're probably carrying on a blitzer. Okay, fair enough. That still gives him 4 out of 6 chances to bring down your ball carrier. To bring down or remove the ball from your ball carrier because of strip ball. If you put it on a thrower, you're actually looking at 3 out of 6 chances, which isn't much, but it's 16% better for you, because you do go down on a both down, but you stop losing on pushes, and that's actually pretty big. 16% is a lot.
And like I said, I am a fan of the throw himself. I do think they have a place on the ARC team, so I wouldn't hate seeing the throw as a purchase here. Also, he does have the 3 rerolls in the Apple and all the positionals so far, so it's not like he's going to be skipping out on any of them. So it will be an interesting choice to see what Roarimbo takes, and I hope they, they kind of listen to what we're saying and make a decision on that.
Well, I mean, I think this is coming into, it's a must-win game almost for both coaches. There's only 2 points between them on the table, so this is one of those super important matches for both of them. This kind of will set the tone for how the next couple of games in the season are going to go. It's only 1 point between them. They're very close, but they've really got to start making that ascent up the table. So this is, I would say, both coaches are in a must-win situation here, and I feel like it's very similar for the next one as well. Tabard Tellers versus Angry Altmer. JP Casey not having had the best start to the season in the world, and Angry Altmer only marginally better, unfortunately.
No, Dark Elves can be a tricky team to start with. JP Casey themselves, it's not going to be the easiest run for them to make, but they do now have Mighty Blow, as we said before, on the Blitzer.
Oh my god, you know what this team screams at me? This team screams Vanity Pass a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what we're going to.
With 5 passes, he could level 3 players.
Yeah, they definitely could.
Sorry, 4 players. I mean, my math is off. With 5 passes, he can level 4 players. That is too good to not do when you're Agi 4.
Definitely. They're also at that awkward money stage that I find that JP Casey does have 100k in the bank, only has 2 rerolls, and they are still on the Witch Elf and Triple Blitzer. So there's a big decision to be made next by them on, do you take the 4th Blitzer, do you take the 3rd reroll, or do you want to save for the 2nd Witch Elf?
I, without a shadow of a doubt, feel like they should probably take the reroll. Do you know why? It sounds stupid, right? But it goes back to what I've just said. 5 Vanity Passes buys you 4 levels. Take a reroll and just, for the first 5 turns of the game, toss the ball between your players. Use a reroll on it. Have that reroll specifically there to level your players. Martin Septim is already going in this one behind because he's unfortunately still didn't get the chance to buy the Apple because he had to replace the Blitzer that died, which is super unfortunate. So he's left 10k behind. So you might win the Bash War thanks to that Mighty Blow on the Blitzer. You should theoretically control the game because you've got slight edge on skills. And I just feel like this is, if JP Casey gets what he needs from this game as far as that level of development from one game is massive for a 4-game-old team, right?
Yeah. Having played quite a lot of Dark Elves myself, I would say to JP Casey, getting those early level 2 players makes a massive difference to the reliability and the danger of your team. So I would always actively use the first, as you said, 5, 6, 7 turns to get those vanity passes in. Always play a bit more defensively to ensure that you can do that. And at worst, if you don't score on your drive, you can then be aggressive in the second half and try to overturn your opponent. But at this stage, perhaps taking the draw and getting 4 or 5 levels will allow JP Casey will allow them to kind of really start picking up the wins in the rest of their games.
I think it's going to be an interesting, and it's like I say, the problem with must-win games, right? They're very, very tough psychologically, and because you kind of go in with a certain mentality, and almost we're talking very casually and developmentally about a game that he knows. I feel like he kind of needs to win, so they need to totally commit to that. And I think on the other side, what is that? Robot? Was it Robot we were looking at? It wasn't. It was
no, it's the Angry Altman. Now, Martin Sapp, Tim, as you were saying, didn't pick up the apple because he was unfortunately played Bernie Team Killer Buffon last week, and had a blitzer die.
You're right, and it's put him in a bit of an unfortunate spot because unlike JP, he needs touchdowns to get any levels on his players, or he needs a lot of SPP to start moving the team forwards. I would still like to see vanity passes coming out, especially from the blitzers, simply to get them at least to 1 SPP.
MVP.
So they're in MVP range leveling. That could be massive in and of itself. That would be my advice there. But again, I think this is... I just realised I had the wrong team up in the background. I am so very sorry for anyone who's watching. I just like Rugbar. He's a lovely dude. Anyway, we've talked a lot about that match. We're going to talk about the Rat Rebel versus the Arrogant Bar Stewards, which was Rugbar's team. And of course, it is good old Crystal Hunter.
Crystal Hunter, indeed.
It's an easier game than last time.
I think this is an opportunity for Crystal Hunter to apply his experience with rats to really rack up a big score here if Rugbar isn't aware of how aggressive Skaven can be. So one of the advantages I've watched quite a lot of Crystal Hunter's play is he can go very aggressive and very ball and attack focus with his rats. Now, not a lot of coaches have experienced that sort of high intensity pressure, and High Elves in the early stages are one of the teams that Skaven can get away doing that against, based on the lack of inbuilt skills.
It is actually ironic that I did have the other team up, but they're in the same kind of situation where there's no easy to develop players. Unlike, I think, so far, JPKC's won the lottery a bit being so close to development, whereas the other elf teams in the division are having to fight a bit more for it because their MVPs have not landed as favourably.
Yes. Robert, definitely here. I would like to see touchdowns on the catchers. Now, they are usually, both the catchers are only a touchdown away from leveling, and based on the fact that you will probably be looking at scoring them, that is a good sign. The rookie blitzer Metal, who I kind of think really needs to get at least one vanity pass into him, just as you said, to get him into MVP range. Apart from that, you are kind of going to be looking to use the linemen to protect those positionals for at least a game, because you really, with that 70k, you're probably looking to get a bit more bank into the team, and maybe save up for that third reroll, or save up for the thrower.
Now, the next two games we're looking at is going to be a bit more difficult to call because we still don't know what's actually happened to both of them for this week. So it's really one of those ones I'm not really willing to predict the next two, simply because, like I say, we don't quite know what's going on with this week's game, so we don't know what state they're in. But looking at just the table alone, I've got to give From the Stars a shout. You know, I can't not back Noru. He's proven he knows what he's doing. He's got his second werewolf now. He's made me happy. You know, it's fine. It's going to be. I think I still maintain he's one to watch for this division.
Definitely, we did both kind of pick Noru out at the start. The momentum's definitely with him. The team is just getting stronger and stronger, and I do believe, as you said, it will be difficult to see the state of the team. He will be playing. Sorry, that they will be playing. You know what I mean, next week. This round, but based on what we've seen so far and the kind of strong play and results from them, Noru would definitely be my pick for that round and that match there.
I would fully agree. And that is really all we've got time for. There's a lot of very exciting games coming up again for this division. We say that every week, but I think that's kind of a lot more based around the fact that essentially it's a very well built division. You know, that there's a lot of competition in this division, and it's really close to call. I mean, we're not in a position where anyone is completely out of the picture yet.
Just as a quick touch on to the second last game there. So obviously, again, the directed by me, they've not had their week 3 result in yet, but the only Fools and Hobgoblins. So from the Salmon, is the other Choff team in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So it has picked up some more SPP across it, and it is a lot
They've
of those
got a
players.
different route, I don't know if you like this, but they've got guard first, and then they've got a dirty player as well. So
The difference being, of course, I did play Greenhorn, so I was able to kind of get quite a bit of early development on my team.
It's almost 4 games you don't care if you win or lose, as long as you do well, right?
Yeah, I went 4 games and leveled up 3 Choffs, and I got lucky MVPs and a double on one of them, so I was able to kind of funnel in there.
Well, the double kind of tells you which way you're playing anyway, because it's always claw.
Now, I'm not. I would like to see the Salmon pick up a Sure Hands Hobgoblin on the next one that levels, just to take away that uncertainty around ball pickups.
I agree, to be honest. I don't like putting Sure Hands on bulls, personally, on bulls, unless they roll doubles, in which case it's almost always dodge. Or stats, in which case I would take almost any stat on a bull centaur, other than armor, obviously. That just goes
No, because you take move.
Block.
I personally don't like having a bull centaur ball carrier, because I feel you lose more by not having it as a basically a guard or a sweeper positional.
I like getting the ball to them and scoring, but I don't necessarily like carrying on them.
I don't either. That is a personal preference of my own. I do know other Choff coaches do have a dedicated bull centaur ball carrier. I'm just of the thought that your ball carrier shouldn't be getting hit, so why would you want to waste the strength 4 positional on doing that job when a hobgoblin can do it just as well?
I kind of agree. I mean, it's something we can get into when we focus a little bit harder on Salmon, when we chat about him later on, but
yep.
I would say we've come to the end of the discussion this week, so thank you very much if you've listened. It is worthy of note, as a quick disclaimer, should have probably said at the beginning, we're going to say it at the end. I know we've went hard on certain themes, like, for example, we don't like rat ogres, and we do not like one werewolf and stuff. It is worthy of note, it's only our opinion. The wonderful thing about Blood Bowl is, nobody is 100% right 100% of the time. No matter what all of, like, the big name streamers would like to tell you, no matter what we'd like to tell you, nobody's right 100% of the time. And that's kind of the marvel of it, is, you win your own way, or, it's advice, and it's not always right, but the advice is there in good spirit. So please don't be offended if we said we don't like something that you're doing. Obviously, it's still your team and your game, but we just want to see the best for you.
We'll never say you're doing something wrong, because at the end of the day, there's very little that you can do that is outright wrong within Blood Bowl.
I mean, taking a wrestle on a rat ogre would be a terrible idea.
It would, but it's not necessarily wrong, because if you then take break tackle, you might have yourself a cage diving rat ogre.
God, that would be terrifying.
And a lot of it is like, so somebody like Keith Carr, who is aware of like the running joke of metal hates rat ogres, so call your rat ogres metal, and general things like that. It is, as Metal said there, it's our opinions on a lot of things, and to be fair, we love it nothing more than if we go, I kind of think that, and then somebody comes around and does the opposite.
I love talking about Blood Bowl. So whenever someone contacts me and goes, I think you're wrong and this is why, it's just a conversation we get to have then, and that's awesome.
Exactly.
So.
And Metal has those conversations more than you'd think with how often he is wrong.
Which isn't very often, to be fair. Now, anyway, thank you very much for listening. Watching and listening, of course. Thank you very much once again to McNugget for joining us. It's MMC Norton 4 on Discord if you want to say thanks to him, because he never gets thanked and it upsets him immensely.
Or you could just put McNaughton 4 underneath the video instead of McNugget.
Yeah, but why would I do that?
I know. Yes, I am McNugget or McNaughton, and it's been a pleasure being here again, and I will hopefully catch you all again next week.
Yeah, so get out there, get some blood on the pitch, boys. We're looking forward to the next week of games, and we'll see you probably Wednesday again for more. We'll see how it goes. Anyway,
just play your games.
Yeah, make sure you get your games played. We'll chase that last one down momentarily. So thanks very much for listening, folks. You all stay classy now.